Hello and welcome to Dave's Delightful Dishes. As always, I'm Dave, and it is such a delight to have you visiting me today in my kitchen. And today, we got a little surprise. We're going to do something straight out of Looney Tunes. Let's check it out. Now, when I say Looney Tunes, I mean, if you've watched the old stuff, you've probably heard Elmer Fudd or some of the other guys talking about fricasseeing things. And it sounds like a fun word they use to describe what they're going to do to the rabbit or what they're going to do to the roadrunner. But in the end, it is actually a French technique for cooking, usually a chicken, but it can be rabbit or anything else. Today I'm going to use chicken, and we're going to make a fricassee. So we've got a whole bunch of ingredients. Although it's not as heavy as you think of it kind of like an interesting chicken stew. So we use these ingredients. And we make this recipe happen. So the first thing we got to do is we got to use the chicken. Now you can take a whole chicken and you can cut it up into chunks, but you want to have it in like each individual chunk like you would get at the store. Just for convenience today, I got a package of thighs and a package of legs because normally they have like a whole chicken broken up, but they didn't today. And my butchers were really busy breaking up some primals, so I didn't want to bother them. So this is nice, and this will work just fine. So bone in, skin on. I take these chicken parts, I rinse them, I patted them dry, and now I've put salt and pepper on them pretty heavily because that's like we're trying to pre-season them, both sides. Because they've been laying face down on each other, when they put them into the Dutch oven, I'm going to flip, when they flip them, I'll make sure I salt and pepper the other side as well. So I got to get this heating up, and then we are going to go over there and we're going to get started. Okay, so we have this Dutch oven getting warm, which is good. I need to now add 2 tablespoons of butter, which I have right here, and about a tablespoon of olive oil. And I need some tongs because we're going to be working with chicken. Now, so those eagle-eyed of you will notice that this is a brand new Dutch oven. I just found it at the store, and it's a 7.5 quart. So this is a nice big one. I won't fill this all the way with this recipe, but, you know, you get a brand new toy and you just kind of want to use it. All right, as that's melting up, time to start putting in chicken. And I expect this to be probably 2 batches. So I'm going to put it flavored, seasoned side down, or for the chicken thighs, it's the skin side down. I'm going to start off with these legs here. And I'm going to get some salt on the top of these. You're going to end up with about a tablespoon of salt total, so don't be scared. Just be prepared. All right, now we're going to let each of these are going to cook in like 5 minutes, or 5 minutes on a side. And we're going to do them in batches. Just keep it on high heat. Don't worry about browning on the pan because that's going to come up later in the process. All right, after 5 minutes, we're going to give this a flip. And be careful, it'll spit at you a little bit. But look, see, that's nice and brown. And if you got to turn the heat down a little bit, you can. I turned it down slightly while I'm doing this. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is going to go another 5 minutes, and then I'm going to finish processing the rest of the chicken pieces. And I'll get back to you once we're ready to start with the vegetables. Okay, that's the end of the chicken pieces. As you can see, they look so nice. So we're going to take them off and put them with the rest. And move on to the next thing here. Now, if you haven't already, put your heat down to medium. And we're going to add in our vegetables, our celery. And remember, down in the description is where you'll see the ingredients with their volumes. Our carrot and our onion, all diced to like a 1/4 inch, like a small dice, but not not minced. And we need to stir this, and any of this brown stuff that's down at the bottom of the pan, we want to scrape that up while we're at it to get that back into solution. And have this medium to medium-low. Yeah, all that good stuff. More will come up later. So we got to let this cook on medium to medium-low, and we're going to let it go for about 8 to 10 minutes until they soften and start to brown. So we'll see what that looks like in just a moment. As you can see, the vegetables have they've sauteed up. They're browning. It's time to add our quartered mushrooms now. And we got to stir these in, and they're going to do the same thing. They're going with a mushroom. What happens is it'll start cooking, it'll start sweating, it'll give up its water, and then it'll brown and become soft. We're looking for that. Once it gets there, and that's going to suck up a lot of this butter, once they give up their water, we're ready to move on to the next thing. As you can see, the mushrooms have given up their water, and they're soft and turning brown. So now we are ready to add in a couple tablespoons of all-purpose flour. And we got to stir this until the flour kind of disappears. Won't take very long. Just like that. So that is now ready for some white wine. And that will also help us get these brown bits off the bottom. Today I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc that I made myself. But, you know, any white, you know, preferably dry, but whatever white you got around will do the job. So now that that has come together and is boiling, I'm going to add chicken stock. We're going to stir this together and bring this back to a boil. Just try to get any of those bits up. Turn this back up to high, and let's get her back to a boil. As you can see, we're starting to simmer around the outside edges. So I'm going to put the chicken back in place now on top. And we want to do that with the skin side up, where there is a skin side. You know, the legs don't, the skin's all the way around. And don't worry, it's a stew. You can just kind of cram it in there. Just try to get the good side up where possible. There we go. And any juices go back in. You don't want to lose any of that. Now the next thing we're going to add here is a sachet that I've made of parsley and thyme. That's going to go in, as well as 2 bay leaves, or 1 big one. These are smaller ones. Kind of tuck that down in, and you see I've got that tied up, so that way I can get that parsley and thyme back out again. We're going to let this get to a full boil, and then we're going to bring it down to simmer. And we're pretty much there now. So I'm going to drop this to simmer, and we're going to cover, but not completely. Leave a little gap there for it to come through. And we're going to simmer it for 30 minutes. We're halfway through the filming right now, and I wanted to show you halfway through the cooking right now, and I wanted to show you what this looks like. See, it's thickening up pretty well on its own, and the green vegetables are wilting. That's no problem, but it's cooking, and we want to make sure that chicken cooks all the way through. So we got another 15-20 minutes, and then we will finish this off. There it is. So now we have just a couple more steps here. We're almost done. We have to take the chicken back out. Put it aside for a minute. And that sachet has done its work, so we can get it out too. You want to check and make sure your chicken's cooked all the way through. Mine, I did off camera, and we are ready. I'm going to see that bay leaf there. We're going to get it out. All right, now we got to bring this back up to temp a little bit, and we're going to reduce this for about 5 minutes. Okay, we're coming up to the last stages here. I've got to put in, if I had fresh tarragon, I would do that, and I would do that at the end for a topping. But since I could not find it at 3 stores today, I'm using some dried tarragon, so I want to get that in there and get that flavor in. So about a little bit less than like a half teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon at the most. We'll stir that in, and you can see this sauce is thickened up quite a bit already, but we're not quite done. We have a liaison to make. So what a liaison is a sauce thickener. I love how the French describe things. So I've got 2 egg yolks. Almost made it in there without breaking, but that's close enough. And I've got some heavy cream. I've got to whisk this like crazy. And I don't want to make an omelet. So instead of just pouring that right in here, I need to take a little bit of the juice and put it in, and then stir, 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 stir. And then a little bit more of the juice, and stir, 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 stir. And that is going to temper these eggs so that I can then work them into the broth here, which is very quickly becoming the gravy. Okay, so now I have to incorporate. I have this on my lowest setting on the stove now. And just keep it moving. Keep it moving. All right, we're done with the whisk. We're just going to let this get back up to a light simmer. And it's going to be nice and slow because we added stuff to it. But we want to keep on just stir a little bit. We don't want this to turn into an omelet anywhere. Just keep it moving on very low heat. And I want to add just a squeeze, 2 squeezes of lemon. That citrus is going to cut and give a really kind of bring out a great flavor in it. So now you can see that is nice and thick. And we are ready to place the chicken back on top. Now I think what you'll find, for most people, you can serve right here in this dish. Just get a trivet to put on it in the middle of your table and let everybody pick what they want out. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn the heat off. And I have one last thing. You can use either parsley or tarragon, rosemary if you want it, but realistically, I think this parsley over the top there as a garnish will look lovely. And if you have some fresh tarragon, go ahead and chop some of that up and toss it on there as well. So you can serve just like this. and I think most people will. So let's go back to the main workstation and we'll talk about some things we can have with it. And here we are. Just like that. I mean, I would use more of like a metal trivet, or if you got a table that's heat safe, that's fine too. But it's nice to have everybody able to just like get their sides and then reach in with a big spoon and get what they want. And remember, barehanded is the way to go, because this thing has just been on a stovetop for quite a long time. But it's not really all that difficult. It just, there's a couple of steps, and you got to get those steps right. And the the final tempering with a liaison, that can be a little tricky, because if you don't let it warm up enough, you're going to end up with scrambled eggs in there. However, this is a nice dinner. I wouldn't call it a weeknight dinner, because it is about 2 hours of cooking, but you certainly could use it for a Friday night or a weekend or a special occasion and surprise your family, because the flavors that are in this are just amazing. I would serve this like over mashed potatoes with a side vegetable, or maybe over rice. You could even just have this just by itself as like a stew soup kind of thing. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and maybe it'll inspire you to give it a try. And you can always let me know what you'd like to see me make by leaving a comment below, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can check me out on my Facebook page for Dave's Delightful Dishes, which will be linked in the description, as well as my Instagram. You can also go to my Spreadshirt page, which is pinned on my Facebook page, where you can find my aprons and all my other merchandise. Until the next time I see you guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you at the next recipe.